In this lesson, we wanted to update our website and add in some JavaScript. So we want to make this clickable, this menu, and then actually show our menu and toggle that CSS property. And this can really easily be done within JavaScript. So JavaScript, this is going to be JavaScript, but we're going to be using some of the DOM components. And with JavaScript, accessing the DOM is the DOM essentially is what gets built by the browser, and this is what we looked at earlier when we looked at our website. And just want to get rid of this. And we looked at our website and our dev tools, and we had this here where we've got properties, we've got paragraphs, and we've got a whole bunch of these built-in functions, built-in properties that are available on every single element. And this is what the DOM is, because this is the document object model, which is created by the browser. So the browser reads through the HTML code and renders out the DOM, and then through JavaScript we have access to the DOM. So what we want to do is update the display properties whenever our menu gets clicked on the small sized menu. So first of all, we need to access it from JavaScript, and we can do that by setting up a property and then accessing that value of the property. So we can do something like, we could do variables. So we're going to set a variable, and this is just going to contain that mini menu. So you don't have to call it mini menu, but we're just going to call it that just for simplicity's sake. So document get element by ID, and the element that we're trying to access is going to be mini menu. And we're also going to set another variable, because what we want to do is we want to get these additional elements. So I want to get Navbar, because I want to be able to access that one as well, open and close it. So we can get Navbar, and we're going to contain it within the object. And then this is going to give us the ability to update properties. So now we just need to add in a listener, event listener, for the mini menu. And first we're going to set up our listener here. So mini menu on click. And then we need to specify what we want to happen when it gets clicked. So we want to run a function when it gets clicked. And then this is the function that we want to run, and we want to toggle navbar. So either we want to display it or we want to hide it. So let's take a look at this and just do navbar style display. And for now, let's just do a display of block. So we're going to update the display to be block, and I'll see how this works out. So refresh it, and now when we click it, so something it's not actually adding in the event listener, so let's take a look at that. And I just realized I've got a space there, so that's probably why it's not working. So let's refresh that, and now when we click it, we're showing that. So we need to also be able to hide it when we click it. So ultimately, instead of just doing block, I want to do a condition there to see what it is at, and if it's none, then it's going to be block, and if it's block, then it's going to be it's going to go to none. So we'll just take a quick check to see what the value, to see if this value is already equal to none, and if this is true, then it's going to switch to block, otherwise it's going to go to none. So let's see how this works out. So now I can click it, I can show it and hide it. And then obviously this menu would work the same way as it's always been working. So this is a really quick way, a really quick fix to add in clickable navbar. You could also do it on click here as well and just run that function. And of course you just need to pass in those parameters there. We can also take it like this, because maybe this way might be a little bit better. So there's a lot of different ways to do the same thing here within JavaScript. So we can really shrink down the amount of code that we're using here and we don't actually even have to identify it. Just do an on click like that. So maybe this is a little bit easier to understand, a little bit more straightforward. So it's going to do the same thing. So whenever it gets clicked, it's going to fire off and open up the navigation menu. And we can see here that one of the problems that's going to happen though, if we've got it closed and if we shrink it, if we resize the screen, then it's actually going to disappear. So this is one of the inherent problems. Like, everything will work properly if we're on our mobile device and we're clicking, but if we're resizing the screen, then we could run into some issues. So there are a number of different ways to do this. So in the next lesson, we're going to look at some alternatives as well. So it's coming up.